So I'm going to give you a tool now called a fear release exercise. But first I want to tell you about the fear, tension, pain cycle to sort of give you a little bit more encouragement about why we're really trying to make sure that you do not feel scared when you go into birth. So I'm going to make you do something first. I'm going to make you squeeze your hand like this for about a minute. So if you need to, pause the video and just really, really, really squeeze your hand like this as hard as you can. Really tense up those muscles for a minute and then come back to me, right? So pause here. Now what you're going to do is you're going to move your hands into a ball shape. Which one feels painful? The one that you've been tensed up, that you've been really using, right? This relaxed hand that you haven't tensed up at all, that you haven't been putting extra pressure on, feels fine, right? But this one, it hurts quite a bit. That's because the muscle in that hand is now really, really tense because you were trying as hard as possible, right, to tense it up beforehand. So it hurts more. And that's how the fear, tension, pain cycle works. When we're really scared, we get adrenaline, right? We've discussed this about 4 times now. You know this. When we feel really scared, we've got adrenaline pumping through our bodies, which inhibits our oxytocin being made, which means that our muscles start to become really, really tense. Our muscles tense up when we are scared. So our uterus muscle is becoming really, really tense, and that makes your contractions hurt more, because they're having to put in so much more work to be able to do what they're doing, and because your baby is now pushing against hard, tensed up muscles. So you're scared, your muscles are tense, they feel more painful. What that does is it reiterates to us that, like, we should be scared, right? Because it's really painful, and if it's really painful now, it's only going to get worse. We have a right to be scared. So our brain's going ding, 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 terrified. This is horrible, this is so painful, what's going to happen? We're creating more fear. So we create more fear, which makes our muscles even more tense. Do you see where I'm going with this? So they're even more tense. So our baby is now pushing against even tenser muscles. They're holding all that fear within them. They're really tensed up. It's a lot harder for them to be able to contract. And then we become even more painful, right? So they've gone from being painful, tensed up, to being even more painful. We're even more scared. They become even more tensed up. They get even more painful. It's this vicious, vicious cycle that so many people get trapped into in labour, because they head into it completely terrified and their contractions hurt, and it just reiterates it. I was right. I was right to be scared. This is terrifying. I'm scared of how it's going to progress. You create more tension. You create more pain. It keeps going and going and going until ultimately our labour stalls or our labour stops, and we need some sort of help to get things going again, or we start begging for pain relief, which again can come with its own risk. It can slow things down, and that's how we get stuck in this cycle. So we really do not want to bring any of those fears into birth. We just want to go into it feeling calm, as we've been discussing this entire time. And one thing that you can start doing right now after this video is doing a fear release exercise. It's really simple, and you're going to think, surely this isn't going to have that much of a deal if I've got like years worth of deprogramming to do. But it's really, really effective, and the more you do it, the more it's going to work. So it's something that you can do continuously throughout your pregnancy. And I want to just stay here that I'm telling you this stuff not to scare you. I'm not telling you if you went into labour tomorrow it would be horrible and awful because of all of the programming that you've had. Because that's simply not true, okay? If you go into it with a positive mindset and you understand how birth works and you can tell yourself that you're safe, you can overcome all of this stuff. You can easily overcome it. And that's what we're doing in this course. We're just putting all of that stuff out. We're getting rid of it. We're getting rid of the programming that we've had over years that birth is unsafe, and we're going forward knowing that we can do this, right? We're going into it positive, confident, informed. So do not worry that you've got all this stuff in your brain, because we all have. We can't help it. It's a society we live in, but we can so easily rewrite the way that our brains think about birth. So this is what this fear release exercise is doing. So what you want to do is you want to take a piece of paper. You could do it, if you do journaling, do it in your journal. You could just do it on a blank piece of paper. If you don't want to, you can even just do this in your phone. So on the notes app, just make 2 separate headings. But if you've got a piece of paper, split it into 2. On one side, you're going to write fear, and on the other side, you're going to write release. If you're doing this on your phone, write fear as one heading, release as the other. In the fear side, write down anything that you are currently scared of about birth. no matter how big, no matter how small. I'm going to give you an example that everybody tells me because everyone is worried about tearing, right? You're probably out there thinking, yep, I've also been worried about tearing too. Nobody wants to tear during birth, and we will cover that further down the line, but that is something that everybody is scared of about tearing, right? So in your fear side, you would write, I'm scared of tearing. And you would just go down like that. Anything else that you currently think that you might be worried about, jot it down on that fear side. Then on the other side of your page, on the other heading on your phone, the release side, you're going to write down an affirmation that completely contradicts this, right? That completely just negates it, so that you can tell your brain, you're not scared of it anymore. And anytime it pops up in our brain, we can keep telling ourselves this affirmation. So a really good one actually is, people are always scared of having a big baby, right? People are always worried that their baby is going to be huge. The affirmation to counteract this is, my baby will be the perfect size for my body. And then what we do is we write that down, and you might think, is that it? But it's the ongoing work that rewires the way that we think about big babies. So what you have to do is, you do have to put the work in, but anytime you think, as you're going through your pregnancy, anytime these thoughts crop up, oh, I'm really scared that my baby's going to be too big, you rewrite that and you say to yourself, no, my baby will be the perfect size for my body. I affirm it. My baby will be the perfect size for my body, right? That's what you've got to do. I mean, you don't have to close your eyes if you're like on the bus or something, or you're driving, you don't have to close your eyes. But anytime it pops into your mind, you just tell yourself in your head, you don't have to say it out loud. If you're somewhere that's quiet, you might want to tell yourself, my baby will be the perfect size for my body, right? And we keep doing that. And what happens is, we genuinely do rewire our brains, and we rewire that thought process so that we stop thinking that. We start believing that our baby will be the perfect size for my body. And all of a sudden, you've completely written off one level of fear already. That's gone. You're not taking that into your birth experience. You're not worried that your baby will be too big. You're confident that your baby will be the perfect size for your body. And continue to do this throughout pregnancy. Continue to do this for anything that crops up that you might be scared of. Write it down. If you cannot find an affirmation that counteracts what you've been thinking of, you can Google it. You can ask me, come and pop into my DMs on Instagram, send me a message, send me an email. I will send you one back. But just Google it. Google positive affirmations for tearing, positive affirmations for induction, positive affirmations for anything that you're worried about, and I can guarantee you will find one on Google. And carry on doing this. Do this throughout pregnancy.